What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back for another album review for you guys, as today I am going to be talking about the latest release from Swedish black metal masters Dark Funeral called We Are the Apocalypse. So yeah, I did a review of their last album that came out almost 6 years ago. Can't believe it's been that long since we've had a Dark Funeral album, but Dark Funeral, of course, one of the mainstays of the whole Swedish black metal scene, and I lost count as to how many albums this adds up for the band, so again, as usual, because I am fucking dumb, I need to go to Metallum and do a head count. This is actually their 7th album. Man, only 7 albums in a career that spans almost 30 years. But regardless, let's talk about this album. So we kick things off with the song Nightfall, starting off with some evil tremolo riffing and very fast blast beats. And these blast beats kind of remind me a little bit of Cryptopsy, like Flo Monier's blasts on like None So Vile, where it's like almost like fucking machine gun firing. And these tremolo riffs definitely carry some intensity, and the blast beats are just going all out. Not just on this song, but really all throughout the album. And the choruses on this song have these evil, slower riffs that kind of remind me a little bit of like Brave Murder Day era Catatonia. Like the song Brave, like that kind of like that, but in their own way. But double bass is going on throughout. And then even after the second verse, things get a little bit groovy for a brief moment before it just kind of goes back to what it was doing earlier with those tremolo riffs and blasts and that Catatonia influence. Then we get into the second track, Let the Devil In, which starts off pretty cool with these tribal beats that you got going for it, and then it leads into a nice groove heading into the verse. The pre-chorus bringing back those tremolo riffs while we're getting some spoken word parts before unleashing into the chorus, which kind of combines the tremolo riffs and a little bit of groove, kind of trying to work together here and there at times. And after the second chorus, things get atmospheric as we get back to those tribal beats and spoken word parts from the beginning before it returns to the evil tremolos that the track was really going for on here. But then we get into When Our Vengeance Is Done, and we start things off with not just evil tremolo riffs, but they're epic as hell, and blast beats just going absolutely insane. And these riffs kind of harken back a little bit to like early 90s Mayhem and even Dissection a little bit. The verses change things up a little bit. While the fast tremolos are going on, we get thrashy with a lot of the beats, like we're getting into that Slayer beat. And the choruses, so yeah, the verses get very fast and thrashy, while the choruses gets to just be an evil, epic, yet melodies coming in. So really one of the first songs where we're getting some melody in the guitars. And the bridge even has some really cool drum work with like the cymbal accenting and some cool tom work going on as well. So this track was certainly a highlight for me throughout the entire album. Then we go into Nosferatu, dark riff and drum build up to get us started before it gets into more of those tremolos and blasts. The verses maintain that vibe while bringing back those spoken word vocals at first before the shrieks show up. And while these riffs stay intense and evil, they do go throughout the chorus as well. The bridge bringing back a little bit more atmosphere with the drums building tension before it unleashes into one of the better tremolo riffs and blast parts of the entire album. Then we get into When I'm Gone. Now this is a different song on this album. You start off with some dark whispers before we get into some clean guitars, and that clean riff carries over when the heavy riffs, or when the heavy guitars come and follow suit. And this song definitely carries more emotional weight and more of a somber atmosphere than most on the album, and that atmosphere is carried on throughout the verses and the choruses. The drums throughout kind of help to add a little bit of tension to that atmosphere that this song was projecting. Beyond the Grave, Evil Madness right away with more tremolos and blasts, and the main tremolo riff that we're getting here does bring in a little more melody again. The verses get back to being very thrashy, and then the choruses go into more of that sinister epic quality with the tremolos and blasts. And after the second chorus, things slow down a little bit as spoken word vocals are happening and the drums get into a groove while the tremolo riffs are still being played but providing evil melody on top. A Beast to Praise, which might be my favorite song of the album, or at least one of my favorites, starts off with maybe the most epic riff of the entire album right here at the beginning. Those mayhem and dissection influences come back and maintain a sinister quality, but bringing back more melody all throughout the track. The verses and pre-choruses kind of go back and forth between being all about blasting and then to being very thrashy, while the chorus brings us back to the epic riff that we first heard on the opening of this track. Leviathan, the penultimate song of the album, bringing back more clean guitars to add a little more darkness on top before the heavy guitars come in, and gets us into a little bit of a groove on the verse before we get into the choruses, in which the choruses go back and forth once again between being thrashy and then being all about tremolos and blasts. The bridge bringing back more spoken word to add more storytelling to the song, and it even ends, the song ends with that clean guitar part that we heard at the beginning, before we get into the title track, the finale of the album, We Are the Apocalypse. Tremolos and blasts right away leading into the verse. The chorus maintains that intensity but breaks it up through the drums building things up here and there. And cool drum work heading into, I believe it would have been the second or third verse, and then it leads back to that tremolo blast pocket. But then you get into the bridge and then into the final chorus where it gets a little more epic, bringing in more melody with the tremolo riffing, and it kind of gave the end of this song kind of like a feel of like a big epic final battle in a movie or something like that. And that's how we end things on here. So overall, yeah, I kept bringing up tremolos and blast a lot of times throughout the review, and that's because most of these songs I feel like kind of got very formulaic real fast. Like they're all about just playing lots of tremolo riffs and blast beats and not a whole lot of dynamics going on here. After all, I understand this is the thing with why am I getting my words mixed up? I know this is the thing with black metal. They do tend to get very repetitious with a lot of parts and focus primarily on building atmosphere rather than diversifying the songs within the song, or diversifying the songwriting within the song is what I meant to say. But there are a few songs that do break that formula up by adding more melody or more of an epic quality or slowing things down. Tracks, like I said, like When Our Vengeance Is Done, When I'm Gone, A Beast to Praise, those songs definitely were different for me because of the more epic quality, especially of When Our Vengeance Is Done and A Beast to Praise, by bringing in some of the old school elements in, while When I'm Gone being more of an emotional, somber song. And then even like Dark Leviathan with those clean guitars does kind of help to break the mold just a little bit. But for the most part, like I would say about 75-80% of this album is just mostly blast beats and tremolo riffs, not a whole lot of anything else. And I might be painting a target on my back, but yeah, I do think the album, it's solid for the most part, but I just think this album suffers from being a little too repetitive for my taste. Like, I need like more difference within those tremolo riffs, or more like mid-tempo stuff. Like, this is one of the reasons why, say, a band like Darkthrone I love so much, is because they're able to break up tremolo riffs and blasts with more groove and maybe a little bit of thrash and a little bit of doom into their black metal, as opposed to where, aside from like an album like Transylvanian Hunger, where it's basically just nothing but blasts and tremolos, but it was more about creating a feel, and I think that album did it well. Where here, also the production I felt kind of suffered a little bit, where there would be times where the bass was not really existent. There were a couple of flourishes of bass moments, but nothing to really save it for me. But like I said, a few songs on here did capture my attention, like When Our Vengeance Is Done, and especially a praise to, or a beast to praise. But yeah, it's just like a lot of these tremolo riffs, not much new life was being given to those riffs and some of those parts. And for those reasons, I'm going to give this album a 7.5 out of 10. It's not bad, it's just this album wasn't necessarily my cup of tea from top to bottom. Then again, black metal as a whole, while I enjoy black metal, in terms of extreme metal subgenres, I'm very, very picky when it comes to black metal. I need to hear dynamics. I need to hear stuff broken apart as opposed to just playing the same kind of thing over and over and over again. But again, this is just one man's opinion, and like I said, I know I probably am going to be painting a target on my back for the score I'm giving it, but it's still a positive review. Like, it's not a bad album, it's solid, it's just, I just feel it suffers from too much repetitiveness as well as just a lack of dynamics. But there are some really good tracks on here that I definitely recommend you check out, especially When Our Vengeance Is Done, When I'm Gone, and A Beast to Praise, because those songs either get epic or very somber sounding. But that's my review of We Are the Apocalypse by Dark Funeral. What did you guys think of this album? Let me know in the comments section below. And until next time, horns high, and I'll see you in the next one.
What the heck is fellatio?
Cole, out of all the people in here, you should know what that is.
Every time I'm supposed to try to dab a shine.
Is it a new way to torture
It was getting a
people?
little too friendly.
No!
Well, it depends on how you look at it.
Wait, so fellatio is stimulation of the penis? Really?
Thanks for letting me do that. I might pick that part.
Cole. It's another name for a blowjob.
Okay. Every time
I thought it was a
It's a deep
punishment.
throat blowjob.
Alright, here we go. Okay.
Moving on.
Sounds like Carson's getting one right now.
God damn it.
This game has gone to hell.